All right, welcome back to the vlog. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a little bit and we're back and we're just gonna keep rolling here. And something new that's popped up is with On-Site Public Media, we've been doing this program called In a Minute, even though there's nowhere in the description you see In a Minute. We've been covering stories in a really quick manner with 60 seconds. And most recently, at least for today, which is December 21st, 2020, we covered a story at North Dakota State University where there was a Snapchat group created by North Dakota State University students called N-Words Are Us. And I'm just not going to say the word just because YouTube's going to flag it and then shadow ban it. And then, you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of this stuff has been shadow banned anyways, just because it's video for another time. Anyways, but they made the Snapchat. It was brought to the university's attention in, I believe it was in the beginning of November, and then they didn't go public with it until December 1st, which was a month after Black Lives Matter North Dakota State University students got a hold of it. So that being said, little to no accountability from the NDSU staff who found out about the Snapchat group that had the racist language in it. Then some students went in, they did this during Halloween or the end of October, beginning of October. They created a video where they mocked the murder of George Floyd. So you already know who George Floyd is, murdered by Minneapolis police right here in the city of Minneapolis. And they did a mocking video of it. And, you know, there's laughter and it's a bunch of white students laughing about it. The cognitive dissonance is at an all-time high and it's just there. And then the students held a march. Dean Brashani, the president of NDSU, showed up and just said, I think at most 8 words, and then walked off. Now, all of that happened. We'll get into that a little bit later. But what happened after we released the video reporting on that, there were a fair amount of what seems to be white males that chimed in and said, LOL. Oh, this is funny as hell. Oh, and somebody said they forgot the fentanyl. It was something weird. There's the comments, as you know, the internet is undefeated. It's also one of the strangest, weirdest, most cruel places, dehumanized cruelty you could ever engage with. And if anybody really remembers, like, you know, riding on the bus or getting into it in middle school, you remember people that were real rough and tough at a distance, right? They'd be talking smack to you in the hallway. They'd be talking smack to you at the end of the bus. But the line at my middle school always was, wait till we get off the bus. And the idea was, when you see me face to face, then we're gonna have at it. We're gonna deal with it. But with a lot of these, what appears to be white males that are throwing LOLs and all this stuff at it, they're not confronting anybody, and they're not gonna step to anybody anytime soon. And that's just the spirit of it. You gotta, that's just the truth of it. And so it's easier to throw out these epithets and antagonizing remarks from not only a distance, but from a faceless like account that's set to private. You're not gonna approach anybody. You ain't gonna give your address out to nobody and be like, come see me here. So you're getting all of that. So that's the first thing to note. The second thing is they're trying to continue the troll. Like they're trying to keep pushing it. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, and the reason why we started making these In a Minute videos, it's not to say, hey, white folks are doing racist things. I mean, because that's happening. That's already happening. That's a given. It's the question of the powers that be that are saying we're for diversity, inclusion, and the safety of our people are not upholding any of those things that they said they're going to do. So the first one we made was about Kyle Mader, an officer, and a lot of people were like, oh, it's lawlessness, it's mayhem in George Floyd Square. I go to George Floyd Square all the time. I'm a community member there, and there's the things that have been reported there couldn't be further from the truth. But then when we show the video of cops showing up and just slamming a black man into the ground, that's the truth. That's what's happening there. And he slammed him into the ground on general principle. And the idea is to shed light on that and show this is what the mayor is wanting to fund. You know, a better known, better funded gang known as the MPD is slamming folks into the ground. Whereas they're trying to change the narrative and say, oh, we have all this crime, we can't deal with it, we have to fund the police. Whereas with NDSU, you have a university that's standing by its students, and its students are paying to be there. So they're paying NDSU for a product. And a lot of the black students there, which is 3% of the campus, 3% of the student population at NDSU is black. And a lot of them are athletes. And somebody correct me in the comments, I think most of them are athletes. And that's not out of any sarcasm or humor at all. Literally, I think that's what was told to me in the stats. So, but somebody correct me in that. But that being said, you have an entity that's saying they're there for the safety of the students, and they're really not. And so that's why we're saying email dean.brashani@ndsu.edu, because if you're going to be there for the interests of all students, you better be there for the interests of those 3% of the 3% of black students that are there. You should be. Otherwise, just say you're not for black students. Like that would almost be more honorable and admirable for Dean Brashani to come out and say, hey, look, we're a historically white university and we're not changing. You know, if you want to come over here, have at it. But we're not for black people. Just say that. Just say that, Dean. Don't come out and say, thank you for the time, and I'm listening. No, that's a lie. And the idea is that, we were talking about this earlier today at the Solidarity Action at George Floyd Square, was the truth ain't going nowhere. Like, the truth is there. And as much as you want to divvy from it or pivot out of it, it's going to stay there. You can move around it as much as you want. But until NDSU holds the students accountable publicly, as they would other students, there's really no justice there. And it's not a safe space for students of color, right? So that being said, the goal of the video is to hold NDSU accountable. NDSU is not being accountable to its black students. And if it's not being accountable to its black students, it's not being accountable to all students that go there. So when we put this information out, don't be baited by the LOL or, oh, this is funny as hell, you know, because it's trying to lure you away from the goal, lure you away from the actual kind of like the pillar of what's going on. And the pillar of what's going on is there's racism there. Yeah, it's a given. It's North Dakota. But there's this, and North Dakota State University is saying that they're for all students when they're really not. And that's what the message is. And until they say anything publicly, we're going to be following up on NDSU. We're going to be there. Like, we're going to be there every step of the way until they publicly hold those students accountable. Because think of it like this. Think of any tragedy in your life and think of a bunch of students mocking it on video. You would want them to publicly be held accountable. You wouldn't want a statement saying, hey, we're handling it. All right, we got it. Just get out, go away. No, you would want them to publicly hold these students accountable. And it's not saying punish them, you know, to the fullest extent of the law and lock them up forever. No, it's not saying that. It's saying hold them accountable. And maybe they don't belong at NDSU. Maybe they can go to UND. Maybe they can go to SDSU, which means South Dakota State University, not San Diego State University. They don't deserve San Diego State. I'm not even going to say I'm kidding, because the whole point is that those kids can learn. They need to learn. And the kids that are putting LOL, blah, 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 those people, they're putting time and energy to divert you away from the main goal, and that's to hold NDSU accountable. And you have to think about, you really got to think about those, and I'm going to just assume they're white men that are commenting on this. And that we got snapshots of all of them. We know first and last names. But the idea is, you got to assume most of these white boys or white dudes are commenting LOL or, oh, this is so funny, to make you make light of it, to make you angry about how light they make of it. I truly don't believe in their hearts that they think that that's a light situation. I really don't think that, I really don't believe that. I've grown up with so many white dudes in my life that like in high school, and it was all this like flippant, like, whatever, dude, man. It's, and like, you know, this kind of like just laissez-faire, you know, race is just it's a construct of your mind, man. And all it is it's just sucking the importance and reality out of the situation so it can benefit them, so they can go ahead and make another mockery of George Floyd. But if it impacted them in their community, they for sure would never like that. They never would. They wouldn't like that at all. And the message of this is don't be deterred by the LOLs and all that stuff on those videos. And also don't be deterred by the silence at NDSU. Because these are two things that are going to try to shake you away from the truth. One is subjectivity, like hard subjectivity, like LOL, this video is funny. The other one is dismissiveness, which is, thank you, we're listening. That's the game. So I would stick to the program and really make sure that Dean Brashani and Casey Peterson say something publicly at some point, because all of those things are culturally systemic to that university. Kids are doing that because they think they can get away with it. Kids are doing that because they think that the university is going to stand by them. And right now it is. So with that, I say email dean.brashani@ndsu.edu and email casey.peterson@ndsu.edu, and then go to BLM NDSU to get more updates on it on Instagram, because they'll have more information about it. And we'll be sticking with it as well at Onsite. And yeah, thank you so much for supporting and sharing the video, you know, as triggering as it may be, just to get the word out there about what's going on and how communities can do better, how they can do better. So that's that. Thank you so much for watching this video. All that information is in the description below. We'll see you in the next one.